We have a problem in psychology, especially the values of the old generation and the values of the new generation. There's a very, very big difference between ages. At the time of Jesus, the word meek, the meek shall inherit the earth. It's right in the Bible. What is meek? It's a strange word. What is meek? Meek is defined as quiet, gentle, submissive, humble, patiently suffering, and long suffering. Now, in this day and age, if you have these qualities, if you're quiet, gentle, submissive, humble, patient, and long suffering, you need a psychologist. You're a mental patient. This is a loser mentality. A winning mentality is when you're able to voice your concerns, your desires, your ambitions, your preferences. If you like this, if you hate that, you talk about it. If you're too gentle, you get bossed around, right? There's a time to be gentle and there's a time to be not so gentle, right? If you're always submissive, your desires never get fulfilled. You're basically busy fulfilling other people's desires. If you're self-effacing, right, then you can never fulfill your soul because the soul is not self-effacing. Self-effacement was a virtue at the time of Jesus. It is not a virtue now because life has evolved and the psychology of life has also evolved to understand that you have to voice what you want in life, otherwise you never get it. So who has inherited the earth? The powerful, the mighty, the smart, the power, the smart, the money have inherited the earth throughout the planet. Why is there no school course, compulsory course on money and power? I went to school for 15 years. I never had a course on money. I never had a course on power. Right? So I was stupid to money and stupid to power. That's exactly what the authorities want of me because the authority wants a slave. Our governments, our school systems basically forge slaves. They don't tell you you got to own your own business. You have to be very smart to money because houses are 25-year mortgages and cars are 5 years of payments. And if you want to fulfill your dreams, if you want to travel, if you want to practice sculpture or try painting, try different things in life, it's going to cost you a lot of money. And if you're stuck on survival because you don't have any money, you're not going to fulfill any of your dreams. Neither are you going to be attracted to the opposite sex. Attractive to the opposite sex, right? Because when you have power and when you have money, when you are bold, you are a lot more attractive to the opposite sex. So you're going to be a romantic and sexual failure. That's what a meek is, right? I went to school and I became stupid and a failure because of 15 years of school, which is an outrage. Because when we go to school, we expect to be forged into a success. They taught me geometry, history, algebra, and all kinds of science, which filled up my brain with an arrogance that has taken me a lifetime to face. And still, I have not defeated that arrogance in my late age. Who is it that rules the world? Are the meek, which comprise of 95% of the people are poor. 95% of the people are submissive. 95% of the people are not rich. Middle class is a kind of poverty. You're middle class poor, which means you're just getting by. You're paying off your mortgage. You're paying off your rent. You're paying off your phone and your children's. Life is still difficult as a middle class. You know, you're not on survival level. There is food on the table, right? And there's a roof over your head, but the bills are still very, very powerful, powerful enough to keep you busy till the age of 65. The government we elect are usually a bunch of people that the corporations have decided are good for them, right? The wealthy finance elections. The wealthy finance candidates, and therefore they send their own candidates to run sometimes on both sides of the fence, right? Wealth basically looks after itself very well. The poor don't look after themselves. We don't have a Meek type of person as an electoral candidate. Throughout the planet, we have a government that is serving the new emperors of Rome. That's what we have. We have emperors throughout the world. Wealthy people are looking after their own wealth and they want to grow more. A lot of the wars that are happening today are basically to make the emperors of Rome even more wealthy. All right? Nothing is achieved in some of these wars except an extraordinary expense, an extraordinary cost to these wars. Who is the beneficiary of this cost? The wealthy who sell the weapons, who sell the tanks, and who sell the clothing and the hundreds of thousands of things you need to get a war going. A lot of people get wealthy off of war, and they like the war because it makes them wealthy. Well, those are the benefactors of the war. Usually the people in the country don't benefit from anything. They can't wait for the invaders to get out of the country, right? So our world basically is still corrupt, not as corrupt as it was in the past in the times of the kings and queens, but it's still pretty much the rich ruling over the poor. There's no biggest example of the rich ruling over the poor as in Wall Street or the stock market in the whole world, not just Wall Street, but the Wall Street of all the world, the stock market of all the world, where there's a gangsterism of the rich getting together to basically decide if a stock is going to go up or a stock is going to go down. And they call that the smart money. They don't call it the corrupt money. They call it the smart money. How is it smart? It's just heavyweight hedge funds, big banks, right? Big players, billions and billions of dollars trying to buy something or trying to sell something they don't even own. How outrageous is that? Short selling is an outrage, okay? You cannot, in real life, right, sell something that doesn't belong to you. I can't sell somebody else's car. I can't sell somebody else's home. I don't have the title to the house. I don't have the title to the home. I can't sell it. Not in Wall Street. In Wall Street, you're allowed to sell stock that you don't own behind the owner's back and without any kind of benefit to the owner, right? The stockbrokers are so greedy that they will lend the shares to somebody to sell first, right, and buy back later on without the knowledge of the actual owner of the shares. That's outrageous because the owner of the shares doesn't want any short selling, doesn't want his stock or her stock to go down. Therefore, if I own 100 shares of IBM, right, I don't want anybody to use those shares to short the market, to make the IBM stock go down. I want the IBM stock to go up because I own the shares. But my broker will lend those shares out without phoning me, which means I'm not owning those shares. If I don't have power, absolute power over those shares, I don't own them. This is what makes the stock market a hell on earth, the existence of short selling. And short selling without an uptick. Usually when the stock goes down and it's being shorted, there used to be an uptick rule. There had to be an increase in price before it went down. At some point, I think it was during the Reagan era, they removed the uptick rule, which means a stock could be shorted outrageously, big billions and billions of dollars. Rich people have billions in the stock market. The small investor has $5,000, $10,000, $100,000, $400,000. That is peanuts in the stock market. And the wealthy make money on basically breaking the small fish. They are the whales and they eat all the small fish. This is what the stock market is. There is a merit to the growth of the companies, but the manipulation of prices is something else. And this often happens in the stock market because There's a gangsterism in the stock market, and it's not being watched. It's not being, the government is not offended by this. Human evolution has always been a pyramid. 95% of the people are poor, serving 5% of the rich. There's been revolutions, there's been wars, there's been democracy. Democracy is a bullshit system because if the candidates have to be rich in order to be candidates, then there is no democracy. Going to the ballot box to vote for, Popeye the Sailor Man or Bugs Bunny, that's not going to, give a damn about our interests is not democracy. That's not what democracy is. We need somebody to represent the people, which means somebody that is intimate with the people's needs, which is usually survival. All right. There isn't a file in the government about survival, about the cost of homes, the cost of cars, the cost of gasoline, the cost of phones, the cost of the internet now that is a fundamental. The fundamentals of life is survival. Survival costs have to go down, not up. And the government is there to accomplish this task for the 95% of the people who are poor. But it never does that because the government serves the new emperors of Rome. Most governments don't give a damn about the poor, which is most of the people. The middle class are also poor. It's very difficult for a middle-class person to stop working altogether and take some kind of vacation or some kind of course or some kind of adventure, which is really, the fulfillment of the soul, which is to stop working for a while and enjoy life. We don't have time for that. We don't have time to enjoy life. We have to work and work and work to pay the endless bills. That is the 95% of the people's status on this planet. One of the big proofs that government serves the rich is that there is no compulsory course on money and power in school. They never teach you about the power of money in school. You only find out about this money problem when you get out of school and find out how hard it is to make money. And to really, live well on the planet is very, very difficult. Everything is too expensive. Well, why is it that we don't get this kind of teaching in school? Why is it that they don't prepare us for real life in school? Why is it that they push geography, history, algebra, trigonometry, and all the assorted bullshit that they teach us in school for 22 years? From the ages of 6 to 28, you're taught things that are life irrelevant for the most part, except maybe 10%. Reading, writing, and mathematics can be useful in life. But most of the other subjects you're going to forget because they're not useful. We can't have paradise on this planet if they teach us loser mentality in the school system. If they keep us stupid to money and stupid to power right in school, right in the authorities. They sell us pride in the nation and pride in the country, but so far as power, money, sex, and romance, we don't cover that subject. We need to create winners to have a winning society. And the government is very important in this, but it doesn't do it. The government does not perform its prime duty, which is to look after the people's survival. That is step one. Prosperity is step two. We need step one before step two. We have no course on money. We have no course on power in school because the wealthy decided to keep us in the dark about the power of money and how power affects us, who is in power and who is not in power. The rich want us to be submissive. They want us to pay our taxes on time. The rich want us to be obedient to them, to their interests. Unfortunately, this creates a society of meek people who are basically, we are a society of mental patients. We need to change that. We need real men. We need real women. We need winners in society, a preponderance of winners in society. For that, the whole social structure has to change. The nature of the government has to change. The nature of the schools have to change. The nature of almost everything has to change. The sole interest of the people must take precedence over all other things.